Good morning, friends. What a joy to see our family here in Chennai and to share with you today. This topic is a very important one. Can man see God? And I think we all have come onto the path because we feel, yes, we can. I don't think we'd be in this room. But in our human consciousness, we can't. In our divine consciousness, in the superconscious level, we can. And we get glimpses of that from time to time, which assures us that we're heading in the right direction. There was the story of that wonderful devotee Ramu in the autobiography of a yogi who was blind from birth. And one of the Guru Bhais said, why don't you go to our Guru, Lahiri Mahashaya, and ask him if he can give you your sight? And Ramu so sweetly said, what more can he give me? He's given me such an abundance in my life. But the disciple kept asking him, so he went to Lahiri Mahashaya and he said, put your focus here at the point between the eyebrows and chant frequently the name of Rama. That was his beloved deity called to Rama for 7 days. And after that time, he could see. Very beautiful story for our outward vision. But more than that, the Guru, the Satguru, gives the inner vision. He gives the sight divine. And as Master went to his Guru, Swami Sri Yukteswarji, when he first met him, he said, I want to know God. And Swami Sri Yukteswarji said, I give you everything I have, my land, all my places, my residences. He said, I didn't come for that. I want to see God. And there was a debate that transpired then, but finally Swami Sri Yukteswarji said, yes, I will show you God. And this is such a beautiful thought that the Guru only comes into our life for that reason. And I recall when I came to Ananda some years back, I met Swami Kriyananda and all the devotees, Jyotishji, Deviji, who you all know, Jayaji was there. This was about in 1978 or 79. And I was 21 years old. I came and I didn't know anything outwardly. Inwardly, I felt an attunement. And I met Swami Kriyanandaji, and I realized that he was really, not just a saint, he was a master, a yoga master. His guru, Master, Swamiji always pointed to Master as our guru, was the power flowing through him. And he was sincere, and his whole mission was to show us God. So there were many young people who came, and some people in their teens, or late teens, who came, and some young, some old, but Swamiji never wavered. He wanted us to have the vision of God. And so he would speak, and many of you were there at his lectures, and he would speak about God, he would speak about our gurus, he would, wonderful lectures for, I remember it was going over my head most of the time because I was just so new. But you felt the vibration of God. And he would bring out a tanpura, the big, instrument, and people would go, wow, what is that? And but he would sing devotional songs, Indian songs, and none of us were Indian, outwardly, but inwardly we were. And he just kept awakening God. Then he had slideshows. He'd come to India and he would take pictures. He had, I think at the end of his time that he would take photos, he had 15,000 photos. So he would show us pictures of India and Indians and the Himalayas and the yogis and the saints, and we just, wow. It was just wonderful to awaken the samskars of God. Isn't that beautiful? And we do all the practices, and he was he was a great yogi. And when we met him, I remember he had long hair, he had thick glasses, and he wore dhoti, and often no shirt, and he'd sit there and he would lecture when we were outside, and I just took an Indian friend to America, to Ananda village, and she was looking at all the places. We said, no, now we're going to Brindaban, now we're going over to the different parts. There were different names of, now we're going to the Shiva temple, Mandir, now we're going over here. And she said, oh, the names are Indian. I said, yeah, this is how we grew up. Because Swamiji kept bringing up in us that we too could see God. And it didn't matter your skin color, your race, your country, your nationality, how much education you had or you didn't have, or all of these things, if you liked curry or apple pie, or that doesn't matter. You can see God. And I love the thought that, when we do blessings, many of our blessings are with here. At the spiritual eye. You see people with the bindi here. When we bless for today, you'll get the blessing here. The Kriya blessing is here. When we look in meditation, where do we look? We don't look down. We look up. We look here. And why? To remind us that this is where we will see God. And this is where we should keep our consciousness. Master said all day, if you can, keep your consciousness here. And this is why we practice in the way that we do. And he would often, not often, but sometimes Yoganandaji would go to a movie and he had his eyes closed at the film. And the disciples would tap him and say, well, Guruji, are you watching the movie? And he would say, yes, I'm watching the big movie. And he taught how to watch the movie of God. Very different. He said, otherwise you're in a nightmare. But he said, if you could lift your consciousness up to the spiritual eye, then you can have the sight divine. And also, from all that we do, and our seva and our giving, we're thinking that we're giving in that way, and we're chanting because of that, and we're doing yoga because of that, to lift our consciousness up so that we can see from this point the divine. I remember a very beautiful story of Master where he would look out at his disciples, and I think he was always in that consciousness. Any great Master is ever in divine light and divine consciousness. He would look at the disciples and he would say, oh, all I see is light. You're all so beautiful. You don't know how beautiful you are. All I see is that all of you are light. That light is coming. And he would never allow you to come down from that. And Swamiji as well, I remember sometimes he would come into the room where there were some of the devotees and Swami Kriyanandaji, And he would say, "Good morning, great souls." And people would go, "Who is he talking to?" And we tend to go, "Who is he talking to?" But he's talking to all of us. Master had a disciple, a very kind of stout, tall guy, and Master would tell him, because he was so stuck in his worries and his problems and negativity and moods and habits, and Master would say, come out of that body. And he would just try to shake him. And I remember when we lived at one of our Ananda houses in San Francisco, we had a big place. There were 30 people living there, 5 stories, at Pacific Palisades there. And we had to go around in the mornings and wake people to come to the sadhana meditation. So I was always very enthusiastic and awake. And so I would volunteer to go around, and other people did it too. So we'd go around the ashram, and we'd chant at the people's doors. And so we loved to chant Swami Sri Yukteswarji's chant, "O my saint, wake yet wake. You did not meditate. You did not concentrate. You passed your time in idle words." I won't tell you the second part. It's even scarier. You want to hear the second part? He says, "Death will be at thy door." And you won't have time anymore. "Oh, my saint, wake, wake." So I would go sing that chant and just go through the house, I would just, because I used to be a cheerleader, and I shouldn't have told you I used to be a cheerleader in high school. So I'd go through the halls, and most people were happy. They'd get up, thank you for getting. But I remember once someone threw a shoe at the door from the back, boom! And then I said, "God, what's wrong with them?" And they came out, "Oh, I'm so sorry." But we have that part of us, one says, "Don't bother me." And the other says, "Yes, I want to go for it." And so that's what our practices are about. That's what satsang is about. They're all reminders that we are the children of these masters. And they have promised, if we do our part, we too can see God. And finally, I'll say that there was a beautiful soul in Ananda. She passed away some decades ago. But what was interesting, not only interesting, but very inspiring about her and a couple of other people, Swami Kriyanandaji said about her that he felt she had achieved freedom. I mean, it was the first person I ever heard him say that about. And that was amazing. She was very humble. She was an acharya, very serviceful, very, very joyful, and very sweet. And whatever there was to do, she did it. She passed away in her, I think it was her 40s. She might have been in her 40s from cancer. But what was so beautiful about her is that she, at the end of her life, we all went to help her in her transition to the hospital. She was there for, I don't know, a week or 2 weeks, and all of her friends would come, and we were having a great time. She was, "Now I can eat ice cream, and I don't care how many calories, and I can have cake," and we would bring all kinds of goodies in there, and it was just a divine moment. And you know what was so wonderful? She wanted to be free. She wanted to see God. She didn't want to just, okay, life is over. So she worked at it. The last days, she called everybody. She called her friends, and then she called her enemies, people who didn't like her or she had a problem with them at any time in her life. And we just all were there with her in that hospital room. And it was just so touching. She'd call, "I'm so sorry. And people think that you just do techniques, but it's the attitude. And Swamiji said after that, she's free. Very sweet. And there were two other people too, that this one woman and her husband, they were just divine people. And Swamiji said, you look at them, they never gave one talk. They never did a kirtan. They never sang in the choir. I mean, they did sing in the choir, that's right, but they were just very humble, but they just did the practices, and very kind, and when they're your friends and Swamiji says they're free, you go, wow, there's a possibility. And so I heard him say that about 3 people, but the one who was the most touching was that first one, because she just said, I want to get out of here. I don't want to come back because I'm mad at this person and that person hurt me. And I just thought, wow, that's the way to go. So if we want to see God, clear the decks, clear your way, and just say, whatever it takes. This, whatever it is, devotion or seva or satsang or telling people I'm sorry or whatever, just do it. And in the end, Master said, I'll be there waiting for you. And you want him to be happy waiting for you. He's like, you? Oh, no. He said, I'll be there waiting for you. I remember I told somebody who had a kind of a difficult life. And, he was going that direction. It was one of my relatives. And he passed away. But before, I saw him before, and I said, because his mother was really strong, it was like this person and the mother, and she was like, whoa, she was like a volcano. And so I said, and she had passed away sometime before, and I said, oh, we called her other mama. I said, oh, because she took care of us too. I said, oh, other mama's going to be waiting for you. He went, oh, no. He said, oh, no. And she's like, Gunk. But, you want that to be a nice reunion. So do your part to make it a good reunion. And I want to end with something very beautiful that was passed on to us from one of the Gurubhais. This is a devotee. It's a wonderful thing that happened with Master. One of Master's classes, he showed people the light. I want to read you it's short what happened. This is a skeptical man who came to a course of Yogananda, several courses, and then I'll tell you what he says now. When we were nearing the end of the 3rd course of lectures, we were told that anyone who had attended all of the 3 courses and desired to do so could attend an extra class to see the divine light. This is the classes with Yoganandaji. When Swami Yogananda appeared, that's what they called him then, he directed that the lights be lowered. He stated that he wanted no one to say that he or she had seen the light unless such a person was definitely certain that the light had actually been seen. When my turn came, Yogananda placed the tips of his little fingers over my ears and his thumbs near, but not touching my closed eyes. At first I felt nothing. After a minute or two, Yogananda asked if I had seen the light. I answered, no. Several times more this occurred. I answered no. I kept my eyes closed in the proper position, looking upward at the center of my forehead, but all was dark. Suddenly, I sensed a great wave of power flowing down from Yogananda, who was standing over me. A great scintillating light appeared, and there were the wings of the dove, the spiritual eye. I did not lose my perception. I gazed directly at the center of the light. It was a most beautiful and inspiring sight. A feeling of utter and absolute peace and well-being filled me with ecstasy. I held my gaze on the light, although it was very bright and scintillating. I did not stir when I said I had seen it. Yogananda then left me for the next class member. For 2 or 3 days after that, I could still see the spark of light there when I closed my eyes. Also, I had seen a scene of beauty such as I had never witnessed before. Vibrant colors in a place of wonder and glory beyond words. I was convinced in my own mind that I had looked upon an actual scene in that place which men call heaven. Om Shanti Shanti. Let's meditate a moment before the arati.